Welcome to Music Student 101. Theory-wise, it's safe to say that we have well covered the augmented sixth chords. We know how to build them. We know them when we see them. But do we know them when we hear them? Does Jeremy? Listen and find out. Here are your hosts, Jeremy Burns and Matthew Scott Phillips.
All right, here we are.
All right, here we are.
We are back. Matt, what's
Again.
going on?
Nothing. Semester is over.
Yeah?
Christmas vacay is here. Just been kind of hanging out, doing a lot of bass practicing.
Uh-huh.
Still taking vocal lessons and, working on that.
And how's that been going?
Going well.
Very
Going
nice.
well. Getting a little more confidence, and that's good.
Very good, very good.
Been working on my soloing as a bass player, just trying to get better at that, because it's not something I've ever been especially good at, and
I'm kind of doing something similar with my bass instructor, Taylor. I was going to maybe put it down this year, but I think I'm going to do another year.
Okay.
And we're starting to get into, he wants me to actually know all the modes properly.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
ouch.
Like, if you tell me to play B Locrian, no problem, right? But if you tell me to play D sharp Locrian,
Yeah, there are a lot of different approaches to that I've heard.
uh-huh. Well, here's one thing he's doing that I kind of dig. And he's calling it, instead of using the Greek terminology we do,
Yeah.
ion and so forth, he just calls it mode 1, 2, 3, 4,
4,
5,
5, 6, and 7. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'm getting interested in kind of looking at it from that numerical perspective, because that's kind of in line with what we do a lot in music theory,
Yeah.
assigning notes to numbers and so forth.
Yeah, this is just me talking off the top of my head here, but I wonder if it would be beneficial, that system, to sort of reestablish the modal placement as relative to the original Ionian mode, right? Or to sort of understand the parallel interpretation of the modes, because if you talk about mode 2 begins with scale degree 2 of the major scale or the Ionian mode, right?
Yes.
So I don't know if you think of it as 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2 or not, but but that would be very. It seems like that there would be less cognitive dissonance if you want to think about it that way.
Right.
Versus scale degree 1 and then the entirely different pattern because you're in a mode.
Right. But that's what I'm thinking. It's probably what it's going to be.
Yeah.
We'll find out how he approaches the modes. And
there's a lot of different approaches to sort of learning the modes and having them familiar enough that you can bust them out when you want to,
And it's my understanding that's one of the keys to soloing.
Yeah, you should hear John Mayong's backwards modal approach. It's freaky. Where he plays to play in Dorian, he plays the first 6 modes of Dorian, and then the next 6 notes of Ionian, and then goes kind of backwards like that. And he ends up creating Dorian mode up 4 octaves that way.
Gracious.
Yeah, it's kind of freaky.
You go, John.
Yeah, man.
Well, man, otherwise, do you have a pretty good weekend?
Pretty good. Caught your show this weekend.
I'm so glad you came out. That was a lot of fun.
It was.
My Night in His cover band, Jenny's Mixtape, got freaky and wore a whole bunch of silly sweaters. My sweater lit up. It had little lights on it, so that was extra cool.
I did not. I looked like my typical goth self.
You didn't have a little angel on your head?
No, very not.
Quite the opposite, huh?
Well.
Well, that was a good time, and I'm glad that we did that. And then last night, my nephew Asher came over, and my sister Gabrielle wants to give a Christmas present to my parents, which is him singing on a song.
Oh, nice.
So we recorded him in the studio doing some stuff.
Very good.
So it was cool. But what are we doing today?
Today, we're doing some harmonic progressions.
This is
Jeremy torture.
Famously known as Jeremy torture, which everyone loves so much.
Me especially. I really enjoy it.
Really, huh? So that
Actually, no, because I got to play piano, and then you all know how I hate that.
That's Matt torture.
That's Matt torture. We're torturing each other with this.
But we're all going to brush up on our Italian, German, and French.
Augmented 6 chords.
Yes, not the
we
language.
are.
Don't get nervous. Just the augmented chords. We'll also recap a bit about the augmented chords, their functions, and how to build them, and so on.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can do that.
Basically recapping episodes 65 and 85.
Which you should go check out.
If you want a refresher course.
Yeah, with those pandemic episodes?
Nope, that was pre-pandemic.
That was pre-pandemic, okay.
Mm-hmm. I think 90 through 93 or something like that.
Something like that was yeah.
Oh, and then we started doing the Zooms.
Yeah, the Zooms, the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
It's much more fun to do this in person, just FYI.
But I would recommend you guys brush up on these episodes, as I probably should have as well.
Indeed.
Now, before we get into that, we do have a new review, don't we,
We
Matt?
do. We have a new review, 5 stars from Sir Paul out of Great Britain.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds important.
Doesn't it?
Who says, changed my life. And that's always great to hear.
With the smiley emoji.
Yeah, that's always great to hear. Sir Paul says, thank you guys for the great podcast. I've been listening sporadically over the last few years, slowly absorbing the ideas and making my way through every episode. As a songwriter, this podcast has given me newfound confidence and taught me all I need to know to slowly craft my music. I am always inspired and eager to write new songs using fresh theory ideas. Thank you for doing what you do, y'all. Thank you for listening, Sir Paul. We really appreciate you. And it's always good for us to hear that we're having a positive benefit. We never get tired of hearing that.
I know, and the reviews also kind of help, to boost our presence, I guess.
Indeed. So go leave us a review.
Now, Matt, I happen to know that Sir Paul McCartney was also knighted, as the prefix implies.
Uh-huh.
I also happen to know that Sir Paul McCartney lives in the UK.
You don't think that's him, do you?
You see, Matt, I told you if you keep on doing this long enough, someone's going to eventually... Although throughout all I've probably heard every Beatles song. I don't think he's ever said y'all before.
No, and I can't imagine we've got much to teach Sir Paul McCartney about songwriting.
Maybe not.
But you never know.
But we will talk about Paul McCartney.
We have and will continue to do so.
And we hope Sir Paul enjoys it, whoever they may be.
Yes.
Okay, we have a new patron I'd like to give a shout out to. Lisa McCurricker is a neuroscientist and retired professor who's sailing around the world with her husband, Pierre.
Very nice.
And their insanely cute dog, Tiller.
Very nice.
On a 60-foot catamaran.
Wow.
Called the Biotrek.
Wow.
As far as their location is concerned, they are currently in French Polynesia for a spell.
Nice.
So more on that in a few.
Okay.
Lisa says, hi, Jeremy and Matt. I love your podcasts. On an overnight sail a few days ago, I listened to both your reading music episodes while on night watch. You say the simplest things that are eye-openers to me. Today I tried to read music and play without looking at my hands. Playing music that I already memorized while reading and not looking at my hands was a life-altering experience in a good way, says Lisa. I decided to take up piano after my father died and I cleaned out his apartment. He had a small electric keyboard in his apartment. It was the height of COVID, which is perhaps why I decided to do something crazy like keep the keyboard and try to learn at the age of 64.
Never too old.
Never too old. I bought some Learn to Play Piano books. A few months later, I also started virtual private lessons. Now, 1.5 years later, I had graduated to a weighted key electric keyboard that I have aboard on our boat.
Good. Awesome.
I have always loved music, and understanding the complexity of music theory has me in awe. Learning piano at my age is keeping my brain young and active. What do you think about that? You like that?
I do like that.
I feel comforted that in reading music, I have passed the C-spot run stage and have progressed to the cat in the hat level.
Excellent.
I figure if I keep it up, I'll be at the War and Peace level in about 10 years. Love the metaphors.
Yeah.
I especially love your chatty podcast for the night watch while sailing. I think it would be great if you could address the subject of adults learning music for the first time. The way we learn must be different than for many of your listeners who are college-level musicians. Regards, says Lisa McCurricker. So, Matt, can you think of anything less peaceful than our voices in your head on an otherwise peaceful, calm night?
Oh, absolutely I can, yeah. But I'm glad that Lisa's getting so much good out of it. And she's right. We should probably at some point discuss learning music at older age. I have several adult students in my guitar lessons.
Oh yeah,
and they do learn differently. For one thing, they are a lot more patient. They tend to have this this sort of patience of, well, I will learn at the rate I will learn. They're not, they don't seem to have the impulsivity that makes them want to overreach the way. The way younger students, it's like, I want to play this awesome thing now. Why can't I do this now? And older students have a lot more patience of going slowly and progressing at the pace at which they're comfortable. And that's something as an instructor you have to be patient with them about, right? So yeah, we should do that. You do learn differently. I don't think you learn any less efficiently or less well. Certainly, I don't think your age really is any kind of setback when you're learning music, frankly.
Well, as I told Lisa, truth be told, off the top of my head, I want to say that about 70% of our listener feedback comes from people who are learning music
Absolutely.
in their older years.
Absolutely. So keep it on. And thank you for patroning us. We really, really appreciate it.
So yes, if you want to support us like Lisa, you can get on the Patreon site. That's patreon.com/musicstudent101.
Mm-hmm.
And for $1 or $2 a month, you can get on the site, check out our bonus episodes.
Yes.
And for $3 to $5, you can get on the site and see all that stuff and get a little drinking mug. A little drinking mug. Now we have a little vacuum seal Music Student 101 mug.
Yep.
And then for $5 plus a month, you can get all that stuff and also get your own little bonus episode.
Yes, where we answer your music theory question specifically.
Exactly.
In no less than 15 minutes.
No less than 15 minutes, certainly not. So yeah, there you go. Check it out, and you can support us as well. And also, I want to give Lisa a quick little plug.
Okay.
And to thank her a little bit, but also maybe some of you guys are interested in this. Lisa has started a YouTube channel called @BioTrek Sailing. That's bio, BIOTREK, like Star Trek.
Right.
Sailing, to document their sailing journey, but more importantly, to raise awareness for a neurological disorder that is a type of vascular brain tumor.
Right.
So they're trying to build their base. So if you want to support the cause or just check out their cool little adventures with Little Tiller, their awesome little dog, look up BioTrek Sailing on the YouTubes and subscribe.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you again, Lisa. Now, we have ourselves a listener mail, which is kind of getting into this episode a little bit.
Oh, good.
A fine little segue.
I love a good segue.
All right.
So this mail comes from Bradley Duncan from Montrose, Colorado.
Yeah, Bradley is a 22-year-old music enthusiast and self-proclaimed theory nerd who likes to nerd out with us.
Theory nerd.
While running his routes for his pizza delivery gig.
Excellent. Yeah. And Bradley says, I started taking piano lessons when I was 8 and have been playing to some degree ever since, but in the last year or so, my lack of some basic theory knowledge became uncomfortably obvious to me. I didn't know enough to understand how little I knew. Thanks to your podcast, I am a music student once again. Last week, I listened to the episode on augmented sixth chords, and I have a question. You said in this episode that these chords are usually considered to be of predominant function and that they have a strong pull to the 5. As I was listening, though, I found this pull to be so strong that the 5 chord sounded much more stable than usual, hence my question. Can these chords be used to tonicize the 5 or even support a modulation to the 5? I also want to thank you so much for keeping this going for so long. It is nice to know that I have many more hours of your music theory digressions and fun personalities. I'm glad somebody thinks we have fun personalities.
Indeed.
I hope to be able to thank you with money someday, although that is not possible currently. My words will have to do for now. Well, they will certainly do for now, Bradley. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it. In regards to your question, I have often found that they do make the 5 chord generally stable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny enough, right towards the end of the semester of mine that just ended, I found myself analyzing the chords to this Mozart Sonata, because theory nerd over here, let's be honest. And there is, in fact, a tonicization where Mozart himself essentially uses a German Augmented 6, moving to 5, and then just stays in the key of 5 to move into the second theme because it's sonata form, right? So he's going to the 5. And so in the transition, there is just this Augmented 6 chord that moves to 5, and then he's just in 5. So that is absolutely. I have now seen it from my own eyes. That is something that can certainly happen. Yes.
So Mozart in this case used the augmented sixth chord
Yes.
to tonicize, to kind of not. You really tonic if you're moving to 5 and 5 is the new tonic. Then yes, you have tonicized to 5.
That would be one definition of tonicization. Yes.
And also it is the definition of a modulation.
Yes.
Having moved to 5.
Having moved to a new key. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because he just went to 5 and then kind of stayed there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that answers Bradley's question, doesn't it?
Yeah. So the short answer is yes. Yes, that can happen. And, sometimes a lot of these chords, chromatic chords of predominant function, can have the effect of making the 5 sound extraordinarily stable. 5 of 5 chords can do this. So how do you make it sound less stable if you don't want to change key is often a question of voice leading.
Mm-hmm.
And that can and if you're wanting the 5 to sound less stable because you don't want to modulate and it sounds too stable to you, think about what you could do voice leading wise. Maybe don't have the root and the bass of that 5 chord. Maybe don't have the root and the soprano of that 5 chord. Think about ways in which that you could make that 5 chord itself less stable, so that the augmented 6 chord or the 5 of 5 chord or whatever doesn't sound like it's tonicizing. The augmented 6 chord ought to be theoretically on paper a fairly weak tonicization, because it's just there's no interval of a fifth anywhere in it. But as Mozart proved and as Bradley has observed, it can be in the right context. So.
Well, there's 2 tendency tones in there.
There is 2 very powerful tendency tones, the flat 6 moving to the 5 and the sharp 4 moving up to the 5. Mm-hmm. And the flat 6 and the sharp 4 are an augmented second. Sorry, they're an augmented sixth.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid, that's why they call it that.
They
are an augmented 6 apart, and that's not quite a tritone, but it's still a very different dissonant interval that has to be resolved. And so, that you can make a pretty stable 5 chord moving outside of that, if you're not careful.
How about some mat torture? You want to show us a little example of what you're talking about?
Yeah, sure. So what are we doing? We're just making an augmented 6 chord?
Let's show. Maybe you can show how it went to 5, in the case of the Mozart piece. I'm not asking you to play Mozart.
Yeah, thank you. And I don't even remember what key that's in, but...
Make up a key.
Yeah, but let's make up a key. Let's say it was an A major.
Good one.
Sure it was. And then, move to 4. And then, so our German augmented 6... would be what? We'd have an F, and then we'd have an A, and then we'd have C, and then we would have the sharp 4, D sharp, and all of that's moving to E.
Mm-hmm. So now
I'm in the key of E.
Yeah, that worked.
Yeah, and I made a relatively unstable 5 chord. That was actually a 5/6 chord that I played, a 5 chord in first inversion, relatively unstable, and still we managed to be in E fairly easily. So
all the while maintaining better voice leading because of that, huh?
Probably,
possibly.
Yeah.
I can't say my ears are that good.
I mean, Mozart is the real genius. He does that, and you don't even realize you've moved to a new key, right?
Yeah.
Until you get a cadence in E or something. So, but yeah.
Wow. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, Bradley.
There you go, Bradley. You are correct.
So moving on, when we spoke of Sir Paul McCartney,
yep.
regardless of whether or not that was he that reviewed us, there is a song, I get on the chats and everything, and I was trying to find some good examples of augmented chords in pop music.
Mm-hmm.
And one that keeps on coming up is Oh Darling,
right,
by the Beatles.
Yeah.
And actually, this came up in one of our Facebook page threads.
It did. And it was an interesting question.
Let's address that. If you don't mind, I'm going to switch places for a second. I'm going to jump on the piano.
Okay.
Because it's kind of involved here. And through the magic of editing. Okay.
It feels weird over here. All right.
And through the magic of editing, we are
switched places.
We have switched places. So here we go. Let me go ahead and dig up this thing on my phone here.
You've got a more comfortable seat than me, Jeremy.
Do I?
Your secret's out now.
I'm going
to unionize.
I never even thought about that. I don't just go around checking all the chairs. Well, yeah, I do.
Yes, you do.
Okay, so Jerry David was the one that brought this up.
Okay.
And there was a good bit of discussion on this. But the gist of it was, he says, "Oh, darling, the Beatles, explain the F7 chord."
Explain the F7 chord. Correct.
Okay, so let me pull up "Oh, darling," because I had it in my little Beatles songbook, but they changed the chords on those, maybe for some kind of copyright situation. I don't know. But either way, I have it right here in the key that it is in the album. A major, where we just left off.
Right.
We left off on E. I got to get back in.
Well.
Back to A.
Right.
So, we're going to address this F7 chord in a second, but I just want to say that really at the beginning of the song, you hear an augmented chord.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like this E augmented situation. Oh, darling.
Okay.
If you leave me, and so on.
So by E augmented, you mean E, G sharp, B sharp.
Well, here's the funny thing. It is actually, if you look at the charts, it's saying that it's an E7 with a sharp 5. So we actually have an E as our 1,
Yep.
3,
Yep.
sharp 5.
Sharp 5.
I put this D in the bass because it's the highest note on the album you hear.
Okay,
That's
yeah,
the highest
yeah.
note you hear. So
Gotcha.
when you hear them all together.
Oh, darling. Okay.
Oh, darling. So I don't know. What would you say? I mean, if we got an E7, what would you call that D? I want to say it's still an E augmented chord because it reads like that. It feels like that.
If we are in the key of A major,
Yes.
I would call that 5 augmented, which is one of the typical altered harmonies that we actually discussed in our episode, I think is entitled Altered Harmonies.
Uh-huh.
He has just decided to play E augmented instead of a traditional E. Mm-hmm. But yeah, 5 augmented, 5/9, 5/11, these are things that are a part of the sort of extended harmony classical music lexicon.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't go too crazy with calling it something else. I would stick with probably calling that E augmented. It's not going to be a German Augmented 6 of 1 or anything funky like that. So yeah.
Okay, so is it possible to call this an E augmented 7 chord because we still got that D in there?
Yeah. 5 augmented, 5/7 augmented. Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool.
No worries.
Okay, so that's the first chord you hear in the whole song. So
Yeah, that was easy.
There's your augmented chord, and it does resolve to A. You know,
Yeah.
if it was just a regular 5 chord, oh darling, this would still work, but this gives it a dreaminess. You know,
Little dreaminess, yeah.
that whole tone,
Little whole Tony, yeah.
action. But then, okay, so back to this F7 chord we're talking about. So when we go to the chorus, I think we go to D. When you told me you didn't need me anymore.
And that is F7.
This is an F7.
F dominant 7 chord.
Now, there was a good bit of discussion on this, and we had a few people chime in, okay?
Uh-huh.
So Sam Dolmage, one of our great listeners, chimed in theorizing that the notion that this might be the work of some neighbor tones.
Uh-huh.
Because
everything is ultimately counterpoint.
This is true. And then later on in the song, actually, when they go up, when you told me you didn't need me anymore, they go to E7 to this, again, F7, back to the E7.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, maybe we do have a little neighbor tone argument, you know what I mean? At the last one, because they go back and forth through each other.
Perhaps.
Or passing tone?
I mean, like I said, everything is counterpoint.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what else you say about it, you can still call it neighbor motion, passing motion, whatever it's doing, because it is counterpoint that creates chords in the first place, recall. So that argument is going to be pretty solid no matter what else we say about it.
Okay.
I think the question is, what else can we say about it from a harmonic perspective? But this is just counterpoint? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, then
so is everything else.
So is
everything.
I think my theory was the weakest then, because I just said, well, if we're in A major and we have ourselves an F chord, we could just call that a borrowed chord from the parallel minor, A minor.
Perhaps.
Although it would
a flat 6 Although would that be... No, that would be a major chord.
It would be an F major 7, though, instead of an F...
it would be an F major 7 instead of an F dominant 7.
Yeah, that would be a borrowed chord from A minor instead. So.
If it went to 2 or something after that, if it went to like B or something, and then acted like a diatonic 6 chord otherwise, perhaps, but it's going back to E, right?
Right. And in one case it goes to... Yeah, in both cases it actually goes back to E7, so...
Yeah.
So... There goes my theory. Now, I think the one that hit it was our friend Stefan Jacques, also a composer who's joined us on one of our listener conversations.
I'm recalling this conversation on the Facebook page now too.
So what Stefan says is, and I think he nailed it with the this was just a German +6 chord,
a German augmented 6 chord reinterpreted as a 5/7, which we do talk about in one of our episodes of the enharmonic equivalent. Mm-hmm. So an F7.
Yes.
F.
We have an F. That's our flat 6 in A major.
We have an A.
That is our root.
We have a C.
That is our flat 3rd.
And we have an E flat.
That is our, what is that, sharp 4?
Well, that is our flat 5th in the key of A major, or E flat.
Or would be acting as a sharp 4, right?
But yes, if you respell that harmonically as D sharp, we haven't changed a note, right? We just call that E flat D sharp. Mm-hmm. Now we have a German augmented 6 in the key of A.
Yeah.
Moving to 5 in the key of A, which is what a German augmented 6 in the key of A would do.
It is a predominant chord.
It is a predominant
function.
And is in fact German augmented 6, just merely called F7 because FAC E flat is F7. Mm-hmm. But call that E flat D sharp, and you have all the notes you need for German augmented 6, right? You have the flat 6 of F, you have the 1 of A, you have the minor 3 of C, and you have the sharp 4 of D sharp / E flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, and again, this is something we do talk about when we're talking about German, is back there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But we do talk about how a German augmented 6 is actually just an enharmonically respelled 5/7.
Yeah, which is kind of hard to wrap your head around.
Which is very hard to wrap your head around. Usually when you this is talked about in classical music as a way of modulating, because if any dominant 7 can become a German augmented 6, then you end up, if F had resolved to B flat, right? If that 5/7 had gone up to B flat or something, you would find yourself in a whole new key.
Yeah.
Right? So you're using German augmented 6 in A, reinterpreting it as 5/7 of B flat, and then moving to B flat, and you're a half step up from A, about as far away on the circle of fifths as you can possibly get, right? That's the way we normally talk about it. What the Beatles have done has sounds to me like simply used the German augmented 6 chord, and then in our interpretation of that, we called it F7, because in popular music circles, F7 is a lot more common and basic a thing, than to say, because there's not a whole lot of hard and fast rules about what chord should or should not move to another in
pop music.
In pop music, so we're just going to call it F7, and who cares? Right?
It's easy. It's easiest for the reader to interpret as an F7.
Yeah.
As opposed to German +6.
As opposed to German +6. So my question about that then, or the caveat that sticks in my brain is it worth calling it German augmented 6 in this particular context of a Beatles pop song? Mm-hmm. I mean, you can call it F7 and be just fine. Mm-hmm. But I do think in this particular case, what you're hearing is what in classical music world would be considered German augmented 6 to 5 to 1. I mean, that's exactly what a German augmented 6 chord ought to do, which to me is a really strong argument that what you're hearing is in fact that German augmented 6 to 5 to 1 sonority.
Yes, and I and our listeners should be thinking about that when we're doing our examples in just a few here.
Yeah. German augmented 6 chords are very, very tricky in that way that there are also 5/7 chords. You really have to have a little spot of your brain that is dedicated to thinking, could this 5/7 chord I'm looking at be a German augmented 6, and would that make sense in this context? Or could this German augmented 6 that I'm looking at be a 5/7, and would that make sense in this context?
Right.
You really do have to think like that, because they are the same note. We're just respelling one note inharmonically one way or the other.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I'm glad
Yeah.
I'm glad we tackled this because I mentioned your name, but I didn't highlight it. So I don't think I didn't know if you ever linked on that conversation.
Well, you know,
they covered everything. They kind of took care of it.
I tell you, yeah, they really did. And in the Facebook discussions, I try not to be Mr. Professor who's going to come in with a definitive answer and shut down all conversation.
Which is exactly what I asked
which
you to do.
was what I feared would happen, so I kind of stayed out of it. But
Yeah.
my personal opinion would be, I think there's a real strong argument to call this German Augmented 6. But that doesn't mean calling it F7 is wrong. Clearly, it's an F7 chord.
Or passing tones or neighbor tones, as Sam said. So
Yeah.
good theories, all guys.
Those two ideas, this is passing tones or neighbor tones, and this is a German Augmented 6 chord, those two arguments are not mutually exclusive. They can be both, and it is definitely both.
But maybe my borrowed chord, womp womp.
I mean, not wah exactly.
Just because of that 7, just because that pesky 7th.
That 7 is a pesky little fly in the ointment of that particular argument to me. To me.
And to me. I'll admit it. Yeah. Okay, you ready to switch back?
Yeah, let's switch back.
Back to your less comfortable chair?
No, I'm going to stay here this episode now. No.
Oh, boy. I'll do the examples. That's no problem.
Yeah, I bet you will. Oh.
Okay, here we are. I'm back in my chair here. Before I do my little ear training exercise here, there's 3 main types of augmented chords, right?
3 primary nationalities, yes.
And before we even get into that, I do have one question for you.
Yes.
Because if someone asked me to play an A augmented chord,
yes,
I might play, A, a C sharp, and an E sharp.
Correct. Yeah, so you should.
Yep. But none of these chords really do that. The Italian, the French, and the German augmented 6 chords.
Right, because what we're talking about in augmented 6 chords is not an augmented triad. What we're talking about is the interval of the augmented 6, which is the interval between the 2 primary chord tones that are definitive of these chords. Those 2 chords being the flat 6, which in the key of A would be F natural, right? And the sharp 4, which in the key of A would be D sharp. So this is the interval of an augmented 6, right? F to D is a major 6, and B, right? And so if I move up to D sharp, this is an augmented 6, and the chords are named for this interval, not for them being augmented triads, which they're not. But they have this augmented interval in them, and that's why we call them augmented 6.
Okay. Good. I'm sure I learned that at some point, and we did 2 episodes on these things.
I mean, we might have forgotten to mention that.
I had to ask myself that because I did want a clarification on that. So before we get into my ear training exercise, let's talk about each one of these briefly, just recap.
Okay. All right. So there are 3 primary nationalities. All of these 3 chords are going to have the flat 6 and the sharp 4 that make that interval of an augmented 6.
Okay. Most important interval.
Yeah. So if we're for example, if we're in G. Where's G? There we go. If we are to play an augmented 6 chord, we are going to need a flat 6, right? Which in G is E flat. And it's usually in the bass. We'll play it down here. And then we're going to need a sharp 4, right? And then we are going to need a tonic scale degree. So we're going to need G, scale degree 1.
Okay.
There it is. Right? Now, if we stop there, if we just have these 3 chord tones,
the root, the sharp 4, and the flat 6.
Yes. Then we're going to have an Italian augmented 6.
Okay.
And, sometimes you'll see the root doubled somewhere, But, and then these flat 6 is going to want to move down to 5. The sharp 4 is going to want to move up to 5. And the root, is going to move down to scale degree 7. So we're going to... Big O 5 chord.
And back to 1.
And then back to 1.
Nice.
Yeah, right. That's the Italian.
Okay.
If we had a French augmented 6 chord. Let's be in D major now.
Okay, moving it around.
There's method to my madness.
Okay.
And then if we were in D major and want to do a French augmented 6 chord, we would still have some of the same notes. We would still have that flat 6, which in this case now is B flat. Right? We would have scale degree sharp 4, which is G sharp, right? And then we would have scale degree 1 still. And what we're going to add is a scale degree 2. Yeah. And these chords are going to do the same thing. You know, they're going to move to 5, right? Yeah. Yeah. Scale degree 2 actually stays where it is. Yeah. And then
anticipation or whatever.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
If memory serves, this is the most whole toniest.
Yeah.
Whole tony.
Yeah. That.
Whole tone. Like.
So, and the way I played it, I actually played it as a minor 7, but that major second. Yeah. You know, very, very, very whole tony. Yeah, when you play it like that, you can really hear that whole toniness.
For some reason, I tend to equate the whole tony thing with the some of the French composers.
Oh, very, very much you should. Debussy, Satie. Yeah, all these impressionists very big on the whole tone scale. Yeah, the whole tone is a kind of a French sound. It's kind of associated with French music.
So the Italian is kind of the simplest, most basic, stripped-down form of this whole concept. The French, to me, has a little bit more of a sweeter kind of feel to it, or kind of mysterious kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
Sweet mysteries.
Yeah, kind of a dreamy feel to it.
Yeah. And then that brings us to the third kind, huh?
And probably the most talked about, I don't even know if they're the most common, certainly the most talked about, is the German Augmented 6. If we were in the key of C major. So we're still going to have a flat 6, right? So we're still going to have A flat. I'll play it up here. We're still going to have C, scale degree 1. And then we're still going to have F sharp, scale degree 4. And this time we were going to add a minor third. So we were going to add the note of E flat. Right? And then we are going to move to that to G, a 5 chord. 5/7 chord, because I was feeling froggy.
But this was not a 5 of, right? This was not a 5/7 of
5. No.
5, no.
It was German Augmented 6.
So it's a 5. It's also harmonically equivalent to a 5/7 chord.
It's harmonically equivalent to a 5/7 chord, but it would not be a 5/7 chord of G. You're going to end up in C sharp. Which was going to be messed up.
But I just think it's interesting that it's making a kind of 5E function to that 5 chord that comes before it.
Yeah.
But it's more of a predominant. I guess we should just go ahead and say it's predominant, but it's
definitely predominant. Yeah, let's look. If we did A flat, and then C, and then E flat, and then F sharp, what are we going to have to change? I might be getting in over my head here. I would have to write this down. That is, if we call that F sharp G flat, then we have an A flat 7 chord. And which means we're going to end up in what? E flat?
E flat.
E flat, yeah.
Oh wait, you said A flat? We would end up in D flat.
We would end up in D flat. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, it had a cool effect, and
still had a cool effect. Yeah.
So, and you know, with the German, I guess if I would describe the German, I'm trying to think of ways I can start to recognize these when I'm doing my listening.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm thinking Italian will be more basic.
Yep.
French will be sweeter a little bit and more whole tony.
Yeah.
And German will just hopefully sound more like a 5/7 chord.
Very good. So step 1 is to recognize that augmented 6 interval. Right? It's like, because that's got a very unique sound. And if step 1 is to recognize that, and then that should go, okay, well, this is some kind of augmented 6. Now what kind? Does it sound very thin and basic? Does it sound kind of whole tony? Or does it sound like a 5/7 chord?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we do these exercises, I'm confident in one way. I'm confident that I'll be able to identify an augmented chord when I hear it.
Yeah.
I'm not so confident that I know what kind it is.
Yeah.
So in this case, I feel like where we normally focus on the bass and the melody, for notating purposes, I might need to actually pay attention to some of these inner voices
Yep.
to see where they're going. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I got my notepad here. I got my pencil.
Yes.
What we like to do is we like to talk about how we're going to use each listen.
Yep.
And I found that we've said different things on different episodes about this.
Yeah, it's kind of a skill that is honed and practiced over years.
So, but in general...
So we're basically going to be doing harmonic analysis at this point, right? Harmonic dictation.
Yeah, Matt's going to play a chord progression, and I'm going to try and write it out on my notepad paper just by listening.
Yeah, so step one, I try to get the bass line.
Uh-huh.
Some people like to start with the soprano line, the melody, which is also good. But one of those two lines, I personally try to get the bass line first.
Me too, and we're both bass players, so there might be something to
Probably
that.
why. And then step two is to get the other one, whichever one you started with. So for me, step two is getting the soprano line. Mm-hmm. And then step three is kind of using my theory brain to sort of listen for dissonances and listen for what the quality of those chords and see if I can start making a chord progression that makes sense out of them.
Yeah.
You know? And then hopefully by step 3 or 4, we're basically just confirming what we suspect.
Using our theory brain to make sure everything lines up.
Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's the plan, huh?
So that's the plan.
All right, man.
So I'm gonna play you
we should also mention that at some point throughout these listens, and in the earlier listens, we should be thinking about the contour of the melody.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like
yeah.
where it goes up, where it goes down.
Yeah, that's what I mean by get the melody.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we're in G major.
We're in G major.
And the first time we're going to try to get the bass line, right?
Uh-huh.
Bass note.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh, wait, you're going to give me the something, aren't you? You got to give me something. Oh, I'm supposed to guess the...
Well, all right, I'll be nice. I'll give you the bass note. This is G.
Uh-huh. Maybe I should have been able to guess that, huh?
Well, it's okay. We'll be nice. We'll give you G.
Okay.
And then we'll give you the soprano note, which is D.
Okay. Next time, I'll make it to where you...
Yeah.
I'll have to guess those.
And then he's advocating for himself pretty strongly over here. He's like, now come on, man.
I know, right?
He's like, okay.
I get scared off pretty quickly.
So here you go. Ready?
Yes, sir.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. Believe it or not, I think I actually got this on the first listen. Let's see if I got it on the first listen.
Let's see.
Okay, so the first note, as you said, is G.
G.
First chord. And the bass we're talking about here.
Yep.
It stays where it is on the second chord.
Stays right there.
And then what I think I heard was with that DS E-ray situation we talked about a while ago, where you got a flat 6 moving down to a 5.
So
6, 5, and then back up to 1. Yes.
Yeah.
Is that right?
that is absolutely correct.
Okay, so 1, 1, flat 6, 5, 1.
And I'm, absolutely correct on the first shot. Congratulations. And I'll tell you, when I'm doing these, lay, sol, do is a thing that's like, all right, as soon as I hear flat 6, 5, 1, there is 1 or 2 or 3 things that could possibly be, just theory-wise, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a Phrygian half cadence. Maybe it's an augmented 6 chord. Maybe it's a borrowed flat 6. What else? Maybe
Is it
on the
Neapolitan?
outside, maybe it's like a borrowed diminished 2 or something, but that's getting crazy. There's like, 1, 2, or 3 things that is most likely, just that. So I'm already thinking, all right, what do I know that flat 6 could create, right? I've already got my theory brain going here. Flat 6 to, especially in a major key. This is something's weird about this
Something
chord.
is strange.
Something is weird about this chord already.
All right.
All right. So next step then is the soprano,
Okay.
starting with this D,
Which is the 5 of G.
which is the 5 of G. So here you go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
This may be a very simple melody, if I'm calculating correctly. I think what I heard was on the first one we heard a D, the same as that chord, and again I think it kind of stayed where it was. Unless it moved just one by
soprano can be
step.
hard.
Oh, did it move up a little bit?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, it moved up maybe like a half step or something.
Yeah.
We'll go
Try to sing the soprano line to yourself in whatever key you're comfortable, but.
Okay.
Right?
That was the problem. It was too high. I should have just brought it down an octave, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try this then. So on the first chord, we got a D. Second chord, we go up to an E.
Yeah.
And then the following chord, the third chord, that's where I think we got ourselves a sharp 4, a C sharp. Fee, otherwise known as Fee.
Yeah.
And of course, it does what I might expect it to do, going back up to the D.
Yep.
And then it holds that D for the final chord. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
There
okay.
you go.
So now I think I got my chord structures here a little bit.
Okay. All right.
I guess it's time to maybe engage my theory brain a little bit. Maybe this time you'll just play the chord progression and I'll try and figure out what each chord is.
Okay.
And then I'm going to try and tackle that augmented chord.
All right. All right. Oh, well, who said there was an augmented chord in there?
Oh, that's right. It could be something else.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
So here we go. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Broke my pencil. I was writing so furiously, I broke my pencil. Okay. Broke my lead. My graphite, whatever that is. Okay, what I think we got is a 1.
1. That's a good assumption on the first chord usually.
And then a 4 in first inversion. Wait. 4 in we're in the key of G.
You're so close. You're red hot, man.
4 in second inversion.
There you go. Amen-like, right?
Yeah, very amen-like. Which we call a 4-6-4 chord, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So 1, 4, 6, 4.
Yeah.
And then we have this augmented.
Something weird.
Something weird. I know we have a flat 6 and a sharp 4, so that's a good,
Oh, what does that tell you?
that's a good sign.
That's a great sign, isn't it?
And then next chord we have a 5. I'm not sure if it's 5-7 yet. I have to listen harder.
Okay.
And then, or what inversion? No, that seems to be in first inversion. And then a 1 chord, back to 1.
There you go.
Okay. So now what do I do? How am I supposed to handle figuring out what this augmented chord is? It's almost like, do I need to ask for an inner voice? Or do I just need to try and listen for the quality and just take a big guess?
Well, let's first acknowledge that you had a flat 6 and a sharp 4 in the same chord.
Yeah.
Which screams augmented 6, right? I can't imagine what else would have those two notes.
Oh, yeah, I feel good about that.
Yeah, so it's definitely some kind of augmented 6. So we know that.
Yeah.
So now, how crunchy does it sound? Kind of thin? Does it sound does it sound kind of sweet and whole tone-ish? Or does it sound like it could be a 5-7 chord, a kind of a crunchiness of the crunchiness of a 5-7 chord?
Okay.
Okay.
So let's get
So let's sort of make that determination
Okay.
in our brains. And while we're at it, is that last chord a 5 triad or a 5-7, which is all about sort of levels of crunchiness, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So here we go.
All right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right. Just by my ear, I want to say it sounded a little clean. Maybe this was Italian.
So 1, 4, 6, 4. Italian augmented 6. To 5.
I don't think I heard a 7 in there.
So to 5.
Just a 5.
2.
1.
Perfect.
Is that it?
That's it.
That's it. Ha! Okay, let's hear it again. Let's hear it one more time.
So one more time, and I'll call out the chords as I play them this time.
Okay.
Since, so 1, pedal 4, 6, 4, yeah, Italian Augmented 6, 5, 1.
Now, to the listener that says, "Okay, Jeremy, you edited and listened to these episodes 1,000 times,"
He really didn't.
you probably want to.
I'm really a little stunned. There's been times when that's happened. This wasn't one of them.
But what would I? How might I have gotten by the approach to find out what chord that was if I wasn't able just to use my ears and take a kind of almost a guess, an educated guess? But part of me that says like maybe at the beginning I should pick out one more chord member to fill out. You know what I mean? And then try and follow that all the way through. If
you feel good about your inner voices, as in feeling good about your ability to dictate inner voices, which not everybody does.
And neither do I.
Then that strategy might very well work. Now, if you pick out the voice that had the 1 in it the whole way, because there was that one voice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you picked out that voice, the which went do, 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 ti, do, that's not going to help a whole lot, right?
Oh, no.
Because all the Italian 6 chords have that note in it. Or, sorry, all the Augmented 6 chords, rather, have that note in it. So if you happen to sort of get lucky and get the one that had the nothing,
Yeah.
that would have.
So that was in the.
Did that,
That was the alto voice?
That was the alto voice, yeah.
Should I try and notate that?
If you want to. I don't typically make my students dictate inner voices. Some of them are very good at it and can do that, but I don't typically force them to hear inner voices. If you hear the chord quality enough that that's an Italian Augmented 6, you're doing pretty good for me.
And let me ask you this: do you even get to Augmented 6 chords? These kinds?
Oh, you betcha.
Oh, you do. Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right then.
All right.
Let's move on to the next one.
Okay. So this time, what do I want to do? All right. Ready?
Okay, so this is our second example.
This time I'm going to be in C major.
All right. Love it. All right, now, I'll go ahead and say, I'm pretty sure that's a C in the bass.
It's pretty sure it's a C in the bass.
I'm going to go ahead and fill that right out. And then let's hear that whole chord one more time.
Very nice.
Haha. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's a
5.
So
you don't need me to tell you this.
Haha. I'm getting better. Is that the one? Should I put that in the middle? Or no, that's way up there. That's on the top line of the treble clef.
No. The second line of the treble clef.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Keeping it squished.
Yeah, keeping it squished.
Closed
position.
Closed position. Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Ready for this?
Yes, sir.
Here we go.
Bass line.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. 5 chords all together. Sharp 4. Oh, is that a sharp 4? So I think what I'm hearing is first chord you got a 1 in the bass. In the bass. Moving up to the 4 on the second chord. And I want to say we sharpen that bad boy third chord. And then maybe you just go up to the 5. And back down to the 1. See?
I'm very proud of you for recognizing that chromaticism. Perhaps not quite the most correct chromaticism, but it was definitely some chromaticism.
Yeah, okay.
So
because I wasn't positive that it actually went up to the 5 after the sharp 4, but the rules kind of suggest that they should, right?
The rules suggest that they should. So what do we do when we have this cognitive dissonance between what we thought, what the rules kind of say versus what we thought we heard?
Maybe we trust our ear, unless we can. I don't know.
Or maybe we think maybe I heard that wrong.
Maybe we should listen. Yeah, maybe I should listen again.
So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Now we got it.
I think I do. Yeah, I think instead of a sharp 4, that might have actually been the flat 6.
Might have been. See, when it sounds like it's defying the laws of theory, that's a good red flag that maybe you heard it wrong. Mm-hmm. Now, there are definitely times when you need to trust your ear, obviously. But when you think, well, did I just hear a sharp 4 going down to 3? Well, sharp 4 is not likely to do that.
Nah.
Right? Could I have maybe instead heard a flat 6 moving down to 5? Well,
no.
And then you end up on scale degree 5, and you still had the downward motion that was.
Because of those things are so scrunched up together, kind of sonically. I think I just heard a sharp 4 moving up to 5. But
Yeah.
That was actually when my theory brain took over my ear, actually.
Yeah, good. That's why you need it.
Yeah. Okay, so now I shall listen for the soprano.
Now we shall listen for the soprano.
Which is on 5, which is on G.
Here we go.
Was that it?
Yep.
Okay.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Gosh. This might be... It seems like it kind of... The contour, I feel, is just like a up a wee bit and then down a wee bit.
Yeah, it's really kind of crunching around in that G real close together, isn't it?
And I want to say that key of G, no, key of C.
Key of C.
That sharp 4 is going to be an F sharp.
Yep.
I think that happens somewhere. I think that happens in this voice.
Yeah.
I think.
Quite possibly.
Shoot. Yeah, I'm going to try it and see what happens. But then that doesn't follow, man. That doesn't follow what I thought I heard. I might need one more for the soprano listen.
One more?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, how about this? G, A, back to then and then this is an F sharp. And then up to G, and then staying on G.
Very good.
How about that? Okay.
Yep.
Almost good enough. I have 3 lessons in, so I still, if we're doing 5 lessons, I still got a couple to fool around with.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So this last listen, or the 3rd listen.
Yes.
Maybe.
We're looking.
This is the 4th listen. I'm sorry.
Whatever. Listen. The next one.
Chord qualities.
Chord qualities, and engage your theory brain a little bit, and look at how you've already got a flat 6 and a sharp 4 in the same chord again. Yeah.
So I'll also be listening for the quality of what kind of augmented chord that might be, if that is the augmented chord.
If that is, well, if if there's a flat 6 and a sharp 4, and you're right about that, that screams augmented 6. I can't imagine what else it would be.
It screams it.
Yeah.
All right.
So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so what I think we got here is a 1,
Mm-hmm.
5/6 chord.
A 1 to a 5/6 chord?
To a 5/6. Wait, no. That sounds like a 4.
That's a 4.
We're in the key of...
You've got F in the bass, right?
Yep.
And you've got A in the soprano, right?
Okay, I called it an F sharp because I thought we were in G still. I mean, no,
Oops.
F. Yeah, F and A.
It happens.
Again, theory brain, wrong theory brain took
Well,
over.
theory brain on not enough coffee, you know, it can cause problems.
Okay, then we'll just call that a regular 4 chord.
Regular 4 chord.
Okay. And then this third chord, I'm going to call our augmented chord. Huh. I feel like this is French.
Feel like that is French?
Here, let me hear it again. Nah. That's German.
That's German.
That's German. Okay. German +6. Just because it sounds to me kind of like a 5/7 chord.
Yeah, it is a 5/7 chord.
And then the following chord.
And then the following chord.
I think that's just a 5.
Just a 5, yeah.
Although, yeah, 5 and 4, yeah. Straight up
I
5.
debated torturing you. You know, a German augmented 6 chord leads really easy into cadential motion.
The 1, 6, 4 to 5 to 1.
Yeah. Because you only have to move 2 voices, but...
You could have done that. I don't know. Maybe I would have. Okay, so let's one more time.
And I'll call out the chords this time.
Okay.
1, 4, German augmented 6, 5, 1.
All right.
Yeah.
So there's our second example.
Yeah, doing pretty good with these so far.
Thank you.
Doing pretty good.
Okay, shall we move on to the next one then?
Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so this time I want to be in D major.
D major, F sharp, C sharp, no problem.
You are going to hate me for this. All right,
Okay.
ready for the next one?
Yeah.
This may be a little bit more sophisticated.
Okay.
Just a touch.
Well, I'm kind of a sophisticated guy.
So we're in D major. And here we go.
Listening for that bass.
So bass note starts on D.
No problem there.
And the soprano is also going to be D.
Easy enough. Very kind of you. This must mean it's going to get hard. You're being so nice to me at the beginning. Yeah.
Just a touch more sophisticated.
Okay.
Just a touch. All right, ready?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. I think I might have heard something that you that you did catch me on earlier. You didn't catch me this time. So here's what I think is going on.
Okay.
We got a 1, a D in the bass, and then we're moving up to a 4. And here's where I think we actually got a flat 6. And then moving down to 5. And then actually back up to a higher D.
Very good.
All right. So I got that, huh? And those notes would be D, and then the 4 is a G.
G.
And then the flat 6 would be a B flat.
B flat.
B flat. And then to a A. Then up to a D.
Very good.
Okay, cool. All right, man.
All right.
This D melody.
Let's tackle that soprano.
Uh-huh.
Since you got the bass in one shot, very impressive.
Look out.
All right. D major. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I feel like the first and the last notes were the same. I feel like we started on D and ended on D.
Yeah,
in the melody. Now, funky things happen here in these 3 chords here. But I think that, is it possible that you could do this without the sharp 4 being in the melody now that we already have our flat 6? Would you dare do that?
I would dare do that.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the sharp 4 can be in any upper voice.
You know, I'm going to use my theory brain for a second here because I want to say that what I heard sonically was a 2 chord, the second chord being a 2 chord.
Really?
A minor 2 chord, possibly.
Wow. Go ahead and put that down as a possibility. Sure.
I don't know if I like your tone there, Matt.
I get very evil doing these. I really do.
I wonder if I should listen one more time. Let's listen one more
Well,
time.
I mean, honestly, you thought maybe you heard a 2 chord in that second chord.
Yeah.
Put that down with a little question mark. It is entirely possible that you heard that.
I'm going to stand by that for a second, for the time being.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just say what we have here in the soprano is a D, a 1, moving down to a 6.
Did it really?
I don't think it did. Maybe it moved down to a 7. I need to listen again. Let's listen again. That's what I'm imagining here.
Ready?
I should sing along. Give me the other D note. Okay, cool. Hit me.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. Gosh. Now things are getting difficult. Okay. So this first, my big question is, did it jump up? I know it jumped up, but it jumped up a second or a third, you know? No, no, no. I want to say this is a third.
Well, you said this is possibly a 2 chord.
Uh-huh.
What scale tone would that entail?
2.
Do, re, do.
That is a 2.
That is a 2.
All right, all right, so we got a 1.
Yeah, whenever you're unsure about that, did it jump up to 2 or did it jump up to 3? Sing down the scale to 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't get all the way down, did I?
I see, yeah. Singing back down like I should.
Yeah,
huh?
I only dropped down, yeah.
Okay. Na, na, na. I think it stays right where it is. Na, na, na. Could it be that? Okay, so how about this? 1, 2, 2, 7, 1. How about that?
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yeah, only, well, that might actually be only tiny little infraction is maybe it dropped down to 1. Well, you said that second 2?
Ah. Sure
Right?
enough. It went back down to 1. Which, if that is a German, if that is an augmented chord, that would be the root. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, we're looking for these chord qualities now.
Yes.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I mean, I'm not entirely positive on this 2 chord, but I feel like if anything, it might be a 2/6 chord.
I think you are entirely right.
Oh, thank God.
How did you come up with that?
Well, I kind of used my ears, but then you kind of riddled me with self-doubt because you're like, are you sure about put a question mark by
I'm
it?
trying to mess you up. Not really, but
You're the person with the...
yeah.
We won't get into all that. Okay, so 1, 2, 6. And
So
then we...
1, 2, 6. So that 2, 6 sounds minory, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So if had that been a traditional 4 chord,
Yes.
very majory.
Because in the bass, it did go up to 4.
The bass did go up to 4, so it's got something with a 4 in it. But it's just a little more dramatic than a 4 chord would be. Just a touch more dramatic, wouldn't it?
A little more distinguished.
Yeah.
A little more classy.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. And then...
This is tense, man.
It's very tense.
I want to say this is French,
This is French.
even though I have nothing on my paper to prove that. It's just my ears.
You have nothing on your paper to prove that. What you have is a flat 6 in the bass and a 1 in the soprano.
So that could be in any three of those.
So, before we were talking about trusting your theory brain, when what you have looks like it's defying the laws of theory. This is an opposite example, trusting your ear, right? Your theory brain is only going to take you so far because, B flat and D, flat 6 in scale degree 1 can be 100 things, right? It could be borrowed flat 6, right? It could just be all sorts of things. Who knows? So what are we listening for to figure out the quality of this? It's very crunchy, isn't it? And it pulls to this 5 very strongly.
Yeah, very strongly.
Can you hear that interval of an augmented 6?
I can now.
Yeah.
Since you pointed them out.
But even if you can't hear that interval, you can hear the absolute crunchiness, right?
Totally crunch.
So this is some kind of augmented 6.
Yeah.
Because a flat 6 would at least be a triad. Right? So it wouldn't be that crunchy. This is crunchy.
Yeah, and when I listen to it by itself, I'm also trying to compare it to a 5/7 feel, and I'm not really quite.
No, because
there's an alien in there somewhere.
It's got this.
There's a bogey.
It's got this major second interval.
Yeah.
It's actually an inversion of a major second. It's a minor 7. Because I've got the scale degree 2 in this tenor voice and the scale degree 1 up here. Yeah. If I had wanted to be nice, I would have voiced it like that with the two together. But I didn't want to be nice, so I voiced it like this.
I should be able to determine whatever voices they're in.
Well, and so kudos for you to say this sounds French. It sounds whole tony, right?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And then
I heard the whole tone, even though they're that distance apart.
Even though they're that distance apart, you heard the whole toniness that scale degree 2 creates.
What's the word you use? Dissonance levels.
Dissonance levels. Yeah. Again, if this had been borrowed flat 6. That's just pure major quality. That's not very crunchy at all, right? So it's probably not that. Yeah. Pretty augmented 6y, but with that whole tony.
Yeah.
I would guess augmented. Yeah. So great that we had an example of trusting your theory brain over your ear. Now we've got an example of letting your ear guide your theory brain, because your theory brain only took you so far, right?
Yep.
And then you have to rely on your ear to inform and infer, what possibility out of the range of possibilities is there.
So there's no hard, fast way or no hard, fast rules on that.
Oh, gosh, no. This is, in fact, ear training. The idea is to train your ear to hear things like a French augmented 6, right?
Yeah.
So we're making real progress.
All right. Well, we need to finish it off, though. I think I still need to figure out that's a 5/7 at the end.
Yes, you do.
Through 1. So let's hear it one more time.
One more time.
You could probably call them out if you want to.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call them out, and you just tell me which kind of 5 you think that is.
Okay, because all my paper says I got a 5 and I only have 2 notes that don't tell me. There's no.
Yeah, right, exactly. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
That sound like a good clean 5.
Yeah, it sounded like a good clean 5 triad. When I was teaching ear training at the University of Georgia as a graduate assistant, I had a professor who kind of chided me once that I don't do enough 5/7s when I'm making up these little things. I should try to incorporate more 5/7s.
I think your professor was just being hard on you.
Well, I was a graduate assistant.
It was a fellow professor, however.
Well, no, she was. I was not a doctor at the time. I was a graduate assistant getting my doctorate, and she had hers. So,
I see.
Yeah. So she was a little above me in the pecking order.
She might have been right about that, huh? I'm happy. I'm happy with what you're doing.
I bet you are.
I like my good clean 5s. Hey, you want to call this out one more time before we move on?
Yeah, all right. So one last time, and this time I'll call out the notes.
Okay.
So on this one we've got, call out the chords, rather. We have 1, 2/6. Second inversion 2. French augmented 6 to 5 to 1.
Nice. And just to be sure, now that I'm thinking about it, that 2/6 chord did sound a little crowded. Was that a 7 chord at all?
No.
Okay, just a 2/6.
Yeah.
I'll shut up there. I'll shut up.
Don't overthink it.
All right, man. I think we got time for one more.
One more. Okay, let's see. Let's try a minor key this time.
Ah, our good friend minor.
I'm going to be in what? E minor.
E minor, okay, 1 sharp, F sharp. All right, let me guess these notes, but first I want to make an observation.
Okay.
We're in minor now, so the flat 3 and the flat 6 might not jump out as much as they would in major key.
They would be diatonic.
It would be diatonic, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the flat 6 would be diatonic to the chord, and if there were a flat 3, it might also diatonic to the scale rather. Would be diatonic to the scale.
So I don't want to jinx myself, but I'm anticipating a bit of a challenge here.
Perhaps.
Uh-huh.
Or you might just have to write less accidentals. Fewer accidentals. We'll see.
Okay, I can handle that.
Okay,
so we got a, there's our bass note.
Yep. And then
That's how I did an arpeggio. I failed, but I think we're in an E. That's an E.
that's an E.
And then the soprano. That's a 5.
That's a
Feels
5.
like a 5.
Good one.
Okay, so we got an E in the bass.
Yep.
All cars eat gas. See, I still have to do my mnemonic devices. And then a B in the middle line on the treble.
Yep. There you go. Very nice.
Okay, cool, buddy.
All right. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I also messed with the rhythm with you a little bit.
That's okay.
Not super bad, but
I don't even think I noticed. I was too busy freaking out on this little bass line. Why, I tell you this. I'm wondering if that flat 6 was even a part of this. Yes, of course. Yes. Okay. All right, we got this. Here you go.
okay.
1 down to R6 because I'm a fan of Chopin.
Yeah.
That Death March action going on.
Yeah, there you go.
Or Funeral March, I guess.
Yeah.
Death
the
March is Faith No
funeral
More.
march. Yeah.
And then it stays where it's at, and then it flattens down, goes down to maybe 5, and then a 5 again, and then a 1.
Good.
Is that it?
Perfect.
Haha.
See, really getting better at this. This is not so much Jeremy torturous as it used to be.
I didn't think this one would be as bad, but I was worried about the qualities of these chords. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that seemed to be. It feels like a guessing game, but I seem to be guessing right each time. So I don't know what that means.
That means you're getting better. That's what it means.
The theory gods are smiling on me. The
No,
ear
I mean,
gods.
they don't do that. It means it means you're getting better.
They don't do that. There's no Santa Claus? There's no theory Santa Claus?
No.
All right.
There's
So-
theory Krampus.
Theory Krampus, totally.
Okay. So now we're focusing on the melody line, right?
Yes, sir.
This B. All right. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay. I did get a little bit lost there. What I'm trying to do on these, I think what I've subconsciously been doing here, and I like it, is that I let the first play go through and not sing along.
Right, okay,
so our
yeah.
listeners don't have that. But this time I think I'm going to sing
So
along.
let's do it one more time in rapid succession, and this time kind of sing along in your head.
Yeah.
Awesome. Here we go.
Is this a note right here?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Here you go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Don't tell me it stayed the same place the whole time.
Not quite the whole
It
time.
went somewhere at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh.
And then
It goes up.
it does.
Okay. Okay, then. But where does it go up to? Maybe this is a 2. No.
From 5 to 2?
It wouldn't do that. That's right. I wasn't on 1. I was on 5. That would be a 5 to a flat 6. Maybe that's our flat 6.
Is it flat 6?
Which is just a 6 in minor.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay, so 5, 6. Then back down to 5.
Does it though?
Uh-oh, no it doesn't. That's a 7. No, it's not. It's a sharp 4.
There you go.
I'm kind of honing in a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
7 is a leading tone, sharp
It's kind
4
of
is
target practice sometimes.
leading tone. Yeah, target practice. And then back to 1. Or back to 5.
Back to 5. Scale degree 5.
Scale degree 5. B. Where it remains.
And
And then again,
yep.
stays there the last 3 chords.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So again, we have 5, which is a B. Move to 6, which is a C. And then back down to a sharp, which is the augmented fourth. And then back up to 5, which is B. And again B. And finally one more B.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got the soprano, we got the bass.
Yep.
And I think what I'm hearing at the end is our good friend, the cadential 6/4.
Hard to miss, isn't it?
Isn't it? I mean, it was at first, but I think I'm finally getting the groove on it.
All right. So some of these other chords then.
Okay.
Ready?
Yes, sir. We're going to listen for the chord qualities.
Listening for chord qualities. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, what do you think?
All right. I think we got ourselves a 1, minor 1, 6, which has that major feel to it, yeah. And then it gets weird here. I think this is our next one is our augmented chord. And then we have a 1, 6, 4 to 5 to 1.
Very nice.
Okay, so we just got to figure out what kind of augmented chord this is.
So we just got to figure out what kind of augmented chord that is.
I have in my notes, we're in E minor, I have the notes C, and A sharp. So still all we have is the...
So it just screams augmented 6.
Yeah, but that's all it gives us. That's all it screams, unless I use my ears. I do think I feel Germany on this one.
I do too. It could be a 5/7 chord, right?
Yeah, feels like it could be.
In fact, it is C7.
Uh-huh.
We could use this to modulate to F, a half step away from our original key of E minor, right? I mean, yeah, if we wanted to.
So we moved 3 accidentals in the key signature.
And only a half step up.
And only a half step up. So that's kind of like what we call the portal, the wormhole modulation.
Yeah, the magic wormhole modulation of just thinking of it as a 5/7 instead of a German Augmented 6. But we didn't do that. We stayed in E, which made this German Augmented 6. Flat 6, 1, minor 3rd, sharp 4.
But it so nicely went to the 1 chord, you know. So that just goes to show how closely the 1, 6, 4 and the 5 chord really work together, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Or they're almost one and the same.
They actually, most theorists consider them to just be a 5 chord with a set of suspensions, basically. Nice. Or a set of neighbors.
So shall we play that one more time?
Yes.
Call out the chords?
And call out the chords. So I start on E minor, so this is 1, 6, German Augmented 6, 1, 6, 4 to 5 to 1.
Aha. There we go.
And there you go.
4 examples
4 examples.
Covered all the chords.
Covered all the chords.
Had a minor example.
Had a minor example with a cadential motion in it.
I'm actually feeling good and not beat down.
You actually did all right.
I wouldn't say it was a day at the spa, but I don't know if I would call it torture. You know?
It actually gets less torturous as you get better. The idea is that you are getting better.
I love it.
Despite yourself, you will get better.
Despite myself. Love it.
All right.
Well, there's nothing really to recap as we just did a whole lot of ear training. So.
That's true, but we can, and I will, recap the different nationalities of the augmented 6 chord.
Let's do that. We should.
Italian augmented 6 chord. Scale degree flat 6. Scale degree sharp 4. Scale degree 1.
And I noticed that when you've been doing all these examples, you start with flat 6 and 4. I think that's just you trying to push it home that those are very important members.
You got to try to be pedagogically consistent. Yeah. And yeah, those are the 2 primary notes that make it an augmented 6 chord.
Okay, great.
Those are the 2 notes that are the augmented 6 apart. Right? And yeah.
So you said Italian, scale degree flat
6, sharp 4, scale degree 1.
Okay.
French augmented 6. Scale degree flat 6, scale degree sharp 4, scale degree 1, and scale degree 2.
And to me, in my ears, that scale degree 2, that whole tone,
sounds all whole tony.
It just adds more whole tones to the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we have the augmented 6, which is really a whole tone.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
German augmented 6.
Yeah.
Scale degree flat 6, scale degree sharp 4, scale degree 1. Scale degree flat 3.
So yeah, okay. Only a half note difference between the French.
Correct, yeah.
Only a semitone difference with that flat 3 instead of the 2.
Yeah, I mean, they all come from counterpoint, right? They're those are 2 notes that are easy to get between. Or they're both notes that are easy to get to from the 2 or so it's contrapuntally it's a question of staying on 2 sometime or going up to flat 3,
Does that flat 3 act as if it was to be a 7 chord, would that flat 3 be the thing acting as the flat 7?
That's a good question. I think it's the sharp 4 that would be acting as the dominant 7 if we reinterpreted it.
I see.
Which would mean that flat 3 was acting as the 5.
I'm wondering
Never
why...
really thought about it that way. I'm kind of having to do some mental gymnastics to get it, but yeah, I think that's correct.
I'm kind of wondering in my head why I'm noticing this. Maybe I'm noticing the same sweetness that I do in a major 7 chord within this French augmented chord compared to the tendencies of a flat 7 and a 5/7 chord.
That is interesting. Is that right? Nope. Hold on. We're going to get it.
Yeah. Curious.
There it is. B flat is the flat 6 and D, right? Yeah. So. And you're saying you're getting kind of a sweetness out of that?
Yeah, on the French chord, yeah.
Huh.
And I wonder if it's the same one that occurs in the major 7 chord. Or somewhere in there.
There is a second in here that in the right voicing is a minor 7.
Oh. Not a major 7?
C up to D, no.
Well, never mind that.
Yeah. Actually, C up to D is a 9, isn't it? So...
It's definitely a 9 chord, but I think in my head I'm trying to compare things to other...
Yeah.
Trying to draw these things together somehow.
Yeah, I'm just hearing the whole tone scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. I can see that. Which to me somehow translates to...
Yeah, this chord doesn't... the French isn't going to be able to be respelled the way a German is to be anything.
Yeah, let's not
Let's not overthink it? Yeah. Good plan.
Yeah. Well, I think we can call it a day, man.
I think so. Thank you so much for engaging in Jeremy torture with us.
Yeah.
He doesn't look sufficiently tortured, so we're going to have to do this again soon.
Yeah, we got to try harder next time.
See you soon.
Hey, thanks again for listening. And by the way, how is your listening going? Write us and let us know at info@musicstudent101.com. You can support us financially at patreon.com/musicstudent101. You can find other ways to support us on the donate page of our website at musicstudent101.com. If you wish to check out our merchandise, You can do so on redbubble.com/musicstudent101.